Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ro. Today I have a bit of an exciting video. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. It's probably going to be a list of movies that you probably would have figured yourself, but I thought it would be fun to share with you guys movies and shows that I think you would enjoy if you liked Stranger Things. Now I've split this in 4 different categories. The first is the obvious, which is the group of films that I think is the most similar. The second one is movies that I think are similar, have similar aspects to them, but they're more for kids. So I'm putting that in a family/kids group. Then there's also the adult movies that I think have elements of Stranger Things, but can probably push the envelope a little bit more, and the adults will really enjoy those, as well as adult TV shows. So there's 4 categories there. So the first one I'm going to start with is the obvious, and that is the movies that I think are the most alike to the Stranger Things series. Okay, so I do want to mention why I'm choosing each of these. So I went through every kind of season of the show and summed it up into a movie form if I could, and this is what I came up with. So for season 1, I came up with the film It. I'm gonna go with It Chapter 1, not Chapter 2, even though you could probably still watch both of them and enjoy them both. I do think It Chapter 1 really encapsulates the first season of Stranger Things. So the reason I chose this is it has similar feel in the sense that there's a bunch of kids. It has that same kind of kids community that Stranger Things has. So I feel like, I don't know, it just feels like they both also came out around the same time, I think. The new It, obviously. And it just has that kind of Stephen King-esque feel to it, the first season. And obviously there's no clown in Stranger Things, but there is a antagonist that is this scary kind of monster. So I think this really does encapsulate the first season really well, and that is why I chose this film. There is another film that I also think is really similar to the first season of Stranger Things, but it's in the kids category, so I will talk about that later. Don't worry, I'm not going to forget about that film because I know the season was very inspired by it, so I'm not missing out on that one yet. I will talk about it later. So for season 2, I am going to go with the film Super 8. This is a sci-fi movie with also a bunch of kids at the forefront of the story. These kids are out in an old abandoned train station making a movie when they witness some sort of alien being. It's not necessarily a kids movie, so I still think it's something that the family could enjoy, so it's very much like Stranger Things. I don't want to give too much away about the movie, but if you haven't seen Super 8 and you love Stranger Things, I definitely think you should watch it. Out of all the films that I'm going to talk about in this video, I do think that It and Super 8 are probably the closest to Stranger Things, and I think that they're the 2 movies that you will definitely enjoy if you love the series. Now, season 3 really reminded me of a film called The Faculty. This is a teen slasher with aliens in it. Again, the alien theme seems to be a thing here, which makes sense because Stranger Things, if you think about it, is about some sort of paranormal stuff going on. So it does have that feel. I didn't add the next film that I'm going to talk about because I've not seen it, but I do know that The Faculty is very much inspired by the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is something that I really am keen to watch. I haven't watched it. It's an old film and it's based on a book, so I do have the book, I just haven't read it yet. And the reason that I am saying The Faculty and the Invasion of the Body Snatchers is because in this season, human beings are being taken over by entities or aliens as such. So it just really reminded me of The Faculty because that's kind of what happens in that movie. Again, this isn't exactly the same, but it has a similar feel to it, I guess. And I'm guessing that the Invasion of the Body Snatchers is probably more like the series, but like I said, I haven't seen it yet. Really keen to watch it, so that will be my next film, and yeah, I'll let you guys know what I think about it. And for season 4, I went with A Nightmare on Elm Street. This one is pretty obvious if you've seen both Stranger Things season 4 and A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's very very highly inspired by this film. So many things in this series, in this season, were very much on point with The Nightmare on Elm Street. But the good thing about it is that it didn't obviously copy and paste. It had its own elements to it, but it has the same exact feeling, and there's a lot more horror in this season. So I definitely think that these 4 films are probably the ones that match each season up perfectly. Now, the one that I also will add to season 1, which I probably could have spoken about at the beginning, but I wanted to wait because it's more of a kids movie, is the film E.T. I think that the first season was very highly inspired by E.T. You know, obviously Elle is the equivalent of E.T. Mike finds her and hides her, and you know, the parents don't know anything about her and the adults aren't allowed to know anything about her in the first season. So it's very similar in that kind of sense. And speaking of kids films, I'm going to go into them now. So I have 3 kids films and 1 television series. So the next film that I think you'll enjoy, if you enjoyed the Stranger Things series, is the film Gremlins. This is still a horror, but it's got comedy elements in it, so it's not so heavy. And I do think that the kids can still enjoy this. It is still a little bit scary if you're a kid, but I do think that it's kind of on the same level, I guess, as the first season of Stranger Things in scare factor. But I definitely think that Gremlins is a perfect pick. It just has that kind of, I think all of these movies have like an alien entity or paranormal being. Gremlins is a lot of fun. Again, it's a child cast. Obviously the main guy is more of a teenager than a child, but he hangs out with these kids as well, so they're all part of the group. I don't think I really need to go into the details as to what this movie is about because I feel like everybody's seen this, but I still wanted to kind of talk about it and say that if you liked Stranger Things, you will like Gremlins. And also the Goonies. This one's a lot lighter than the other ones that I've spoken about. The Goonies is a comedy adventure story, so there is no horror in this film. I mean, you might be a little bit scared of the bad guys, but there is definitely not any horror in this movie. This also follows a cast of kids, and they find a treasure map and they try to find out where this treasure is. It's, like I said, more of an adventure film, but the all-star kids cast kind of has that same feeling as like the It movie or the series. So I definitely think you would enjoy it. Another one that I put in the kids section, even though I guess it's a family movie, is Ghostbusters. This one's pretty obvious. In the, I believe, first season of Stranger Things, maybe it was the second, I could be wrong, it's been a while, they dress up as Ghostbusters. And there is a new Ghostbusters movie coming out that has one of the guys, I think it's the guy who plays Mike in the movie, as like kids Ghostbusters. So I just feel like it really fits. Yeah, I just think that if you enjoyed Stranger Things, you would like Ghostbusters. And finally, in the kids section, I have a TV series called Erie, Indiana. I also wanted to add in Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps because they both kind of have lots of kids in their stories. The protagonists are mainly children in these stories, but the reason I wanted to pick Erie, Indiana is because it does have this paranormal feel to it, which is exactly what the series is about. So you would definitely enjoy Erie, Indiana. I remember really enjoying it as a kid. I just don't really remember what it's about. I just know that each episode has like something eerie and weird going on in this town. And that's as much as I remember, but I do think that it's something that you will enjoy. Okay, so now going into the adult films and TV series. The first film I'm going to mention does have an all kids cast, but it's pretty dark, and that is Summer of '84. This is a thriller / horror, and I do think that it gets pretty dark near the end. It isn't a film that kids should really watch, even though it does have a kids cast at the forefront. But I do think that this has a very similar feel to Stranger Things. The only difference is that there's no paranormal stuff going on in this, not that I can remember anyway. It's a story about a bunch of kids who believe that their next door neighbor, who is also a cop, is the serial killer who has been abducting kids. So they try to kind of investigate and discover if their hunch is actually the truth. So that's all I'm going to say, but I really liked this film. I really enjoyed it and I definitely recommend it. The next 3 films that I'm going to mention, I think are definitely influential in the series. I think that the directors and the creators definitely used some of these elements in the series as influences, and when I talk about them, I feel like you'll know what I mean. So the first film I'm going to talk about is Aliens. I will say Alien and Aliens, so both of them. Alien has more of the horror and Aliens is the action horror, but I do think that there's a lot of elements that these 2 films have that feel similar to the Stranger Things series. And then I also wanted to mention Carrie. Carrie is again a Stephen King adapted novel into movie. There are a few versions of the film Carrie, but I do like the Sissy Spacek Carrie, and I do enjoy the newer one with Chloe Moretz. Anyway, I definitely think that this also has elements of obviously supernatural and paranormal. Anything by Stephen King, really, to be honest, really fits in this same category. So if you like Stranger Things, even go and read Stephen King novels. Obviously, the ones that are more sci-fi, paranormal than anything else, because he does go into different genres. In fact, I do remember reading that they did sort of a nod to Stephen King in the latest season when Elle gets the milkshake poured over her head. That's a Carrie reference. So if you are interested in knowing that, that was done on purpose to kind of give a nod to Carrie. The other film that I do think was a big influence in Stranger Things is The Thing. This is John Carpenter's The Thing, the one from the 80s with Kurt Russell. There's certain things in it that just remind me a lot of Stranger Things, or vice versa, because it came out first. Flamethrower scene that was going around in the trailer of Stranger Things season 4. So I feel like that was done on purpose. Could I be wrong? I don't know, but I feel like that was done on purpose. So like, I don't think that anything will completely ever be exactly like Stranger Things, but there are movies on this list that have elements that I believe work well with it, and you will enjoy them if you like the show. Actually, one more film that I know they reference in the show, and that's Halloween, and we see it in the season when they've got the mask, the Michael Myers mask. So yeah, I think Halloween is a perfect fit. Again, it's not paranormal. I mean, some of them in the series are, but the first one's not paranormal. It's more of a serial killer slasher type, but I still think that you will enjoy it. So the next one is A Quiet Place. This one definitely does have the monster element in it that the show has, and I definitely think it's more of an adult film, and it has super creepy moments. It doesn't have like the parallel worlds or like the multiverse or whatever, but I still think that you will enjoy A Quiet Place. If you don't know what it's about, A Quiet Place is a story about this kind of future world where these aliens have taken over the earth and they can only find you by sound. So you have to basically live your life as quiet as possible or you will die. I don't think it's exactly the same, but like the monster thing kind of reminds me of the show. So I still wanted to put it on this list. And the last one I wanted to add on the list, even though I don't think it has a lot of similarities, is Fear Street, the Fear Street series. The only reason I want to add this on here is mainly atmosphere. There's a mall in this trilogy that really reminds me of the Stranger Things mall in season 3. So I feel like I had to add it in there because of that atmosphere, and it does have paranormal and supernatural elements to it as well. So I do think that you will definitely like it if you like Stranger Things. And then for adult shows, I have 4 to mention, but only 2 of them do I think are pretty similar to the show. I guess a more adult version of the show without it being too dark is Dark. This is a TV series that is on Netflix. It is excellent. It is so good. It has more of a time travel kind of feel to it. There's no, I don't feel like there's a horror element in there. I think it's more of a thriller sci-fi, but I definitely think that if you want more and you're waiting on the next season of Stranger Things, definitely check out Dark. It is such a great show, and it actually ends. It has an ending and it ties all the loose ends together, and it is fantastic. And speaking of time travel, the next one I have on the list is Fringe. This one I think has 6 seasons, and at the beginning I don't think that it has much to do with like the similarities, but in the last couple of seasons I definitely think it has a similar feel to Dark, so definitely check that out. And the last 2 are mainly because they're in the paranormal scene, but I don't necessarily think they're very similar to Stranger Things, but I still think you would enjoy those, and that is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the one with Sarah Michelle Gellar, the series. You could also check out the movie, which I really enjoy. And the other one is Penny Dreadful. This has a lot of like paranormal supernatural elements to it, but it is more of I guess like a vampire werewolf type story, but I still think you would enjoy those. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know some of these are super random, but I thought that this would be a really fun video to do. If you have any other suggestions that you think would be great to mention, please leave down below in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I would love to check out some films and shows that I haven't seen that you think are pretty similar to Stranger Things, because I can't believe I have to wait till 2024. We have to wait till 2024 for the next season. It's so far away, so please give me as many recommendations as you can. Thank you again for watching the video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps with my growth on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.